This is hands down my favorite indicator that I have been using here on TradingView pretty much every single day since I started using this trading platform, this charting platform. Now, this is an indicator that some of you may be familiar with, but many of you are probably not. And if you're not, this is something that I think it's very, very worthwhile to start using in your own trading. And no, it's not different moving averages. It's not a 9 EMA. It's not a this. No, it's actually going to keep your chart pretty simple. It's going to keep it really concise. It's not going to take up a lot of space. And it's going to be a great indicator that you can use alongside with your other support resistance lines, your charts, your other favorite indicators that you might already be using without cluttering your screen. That's one of the biggest things. People try to use a lot of indicators and they think they need this and this and this and this, and they got all these different things. This is an amazing indicator to help you understand the context and to back your way into giving you more reasons to take or not to take a specific trade, building out that risk reward profile. Okay, so that indicator is up on the screen. We're looking at Apple as we speak right now. And the indicator we're talking about is the volume profile indicator. It's on the right-hand side of my screen. I'm going to walk you through how I set mine up, how to get it, all that good stuff here on TradingView in just 1 second. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the indicators tab up in the top left. And then what you're going to do is you're going to type in volume. And as you go, you're going to look for the visible range volume profile, okay? So you can type in volume profile. If I just type in volume profile right here, there's going to be a couple different options. There's the auto-anchored volume. There's all different things, okay? So I would recommend that you could check a bunch of these different volume profile indicators out. Some may fit your needs better than others. And if you have any questions, guys, just read the descriptions of what they do. I mean, it's really, really useful and really helpful that TradingView has YouTube videos along with definitions, descriptions, all that stuff. I'm going to simplify it down so you don't have to watch all that stuff to keep it pretty simple for those who may be not using this indicator. So I use the visible range volume profile. It's like one of the more basic forms of this indicator, but it has a lot of uses, okay? So once I have clicked on that and I have it up on my indicators tab in the top left, it's going to come up as VRVP. You can also just type that in too, VRVP, and it will pull up visible range volume profile, okay? So once you got it pulled up, let's pull this bad boy up, pull up this little settings box. So here are my settings. Everyone's settings will be a little bit different depending upon your needs, but I'll walk you through what this is going to do. So I have it as ticks per row, and then I have row size of 20. Now look on the right-hand side. It's just these white volume bars right here. If I increase this, okay, notice how it starts to kind of change a little bit. And as I increase it, let's say I increase this to like 50 as my row size, notice that the volume bars get thicker and there's less of them, okay? If I go to like 75, notice that there's now even less and they're thicker volume bars. So it really comes down to personal preference. For me, I've just found that 20 in the way that I like to look at it just tends to work the best. So I'll click it as 20. Let me go back here. I'll set it as 20. In terms of volume, I have it as total. You can have it as up and down volume. You can have it as delta. It's up to you. I just think, to be honest, total volume makes it as simple as possible. I don't want to worry about, trying to now factor in other aspects. Keep it simple. Don't worry too much about the volume or having other aspects of that. Keep it as total volume. And what this is actually doing, which I might as well explain too, what this is actually doing is it is essentially showing you where the most, it's like taking the volume on the bottom of your screen, which I'll pull up too, okay? And now taking that volume and putting it on the right-hand side. And now what price points, it's essentially correlating price points to how much volume was traded at that price point, depending upon my chart view. So that's why it's called visible range. So whatever time frame I have selected, it's going to give me the volume profile. So right now, it has this little red line at the volume or the highest, essentially the highest volume price, okay? And we'll walk into what that actually is called in just 1 second. But that's what it tells me, okay? So back to settings. I also have value area, 100, so I can kind of see the full thing. If I only wanted 50, look what's going to happen. It's only going to show me, or it's only going to highlight the 50 middle percentile of that volume range, which, maybe some people like. I personally just like to see the whole thing. So I don't really want to, I want to see the whole thing and not have to worry about, highlighted sections. But that's up to me. It's up to you. And that's personally what I like to do. Under style, so I have volume profile selected. I don't have anything for values. As I scroll down, volume area or value area up and down, I have made this the same color, okay? Because when you get this profile, there's going to be two different colors. It'll show you like a yellow and a blue, I believe, as value area up and a value area down. For me, I just want to see them as the same color. Make that volume. All I need to know is that, hey, what price point had the most volume exchanged at? What price points is there a gap? What price points is there a relative high or a volume node, a high volume node? That's all I'm looking for. And we'll walk into how we can use that here in just 1 second. Then POC is the volume point of control. That's the red line. That is essentially the volume point of control is based on the time frame where what price point has seen the most volume exchanged at, okay? And as we speak, we're actually sitting on Apple when I'm filming the video, like right at that spot, like right now, okay? I have labels on the price scale and then values in the status line selected, and then visibility. It comes down to the selection right here. It depends upon your needs or what you like. For me, I like looking at this across all time frames. But if I only liked looking at this and I said, okay, I don't like looking at this on the short-term time frames, let's say for like, 1 minute charts, a couple hour charts, then get rid of it. So get rid of it on the hourly charts, the minute charts, and the second charts, and only show it on the daily, the weekly, the monthly charts, the big picture charts. Or maybe it's vice versa. So for me, I like having it on all charts. So because each time frame, right, when I'm looking at something, right, for a move, each time frame is going to give me a different story potentially. And if I can line up multiple time frames, big picture, and then narrow it down to smaller picture that all kind of fit the same thesis or the same trade idea, the same direction, that's helpful. And so I want to see it across all different time frames before I back my way into trading something if I'm going to trade something, right? So now we have this pulled up. Again, that's essentially a walkthrough of what the indicator is, how to set it up, all that stuff, at least my settings. Again, you can change it depending upon your preferences, and there's some little tweaks you can make there too. But what we're looking at right now is that on the chart we are looking at, about the past like year or so, a little over a year, this price point, this red line across the middle of our screen, that's a volume point of control. Makes sense, guys. Look, this is where we've seen the most volume exchange, and Apple has traded up on this price point like the most over the past year. And then not to mention that, look, right now, as we speak, it's trading right there again today at that exact same spot. So how do we use it? Is it a perfect way to use or to identify support resistance? Not really, but it can be a great tool to add on to an area or to support resistance levels that you're already charting out. Why do I say that? Because just because there's a volume node or a higher, node or, jut out of volume on the volume profile, it doesn't mean that the stock must hold there. It means that area could act as a support. We could find buyers there or sellers there, as there was a lot of volume exchanged at that level in the past. But the past doesn't mean that that has to happen again, right? But again, right, it could give us a higher probability of one thing happening over another because of what has happened in the past, right, at that level. So in this case, Apple, right, it's actually showing that right in this area, right on this volume node that we're seeing right now, from like 145 to about, looks like 150 or so, this has been an area, a lot of volume has been exchanged. It was an area of resistance in the past. It was an area of consolidation and support back in here. It was resistance back in here. And now it's trying to act as support yet again. So we have a very crucial level. This is going to be a great indicator to give you key levels or key zones on the chart that you should be interested in terms of then backing your way into support resistance. That's how I like to use it. Now, when there's a gap of volume, I'll show you an example of Tesla. This could be a really good tool to give you a price target to the upside or downside. So for example, here's Tesla's chart. And what are we going to see? Okay, I have two lines I drew in here as well, but what are we going to see? Look at this volume. A lot of volume on Tesla from looks like about 288 or 287 up to about 310, 309, 310. What are we seeing, guys? Tesla is struggling to break that 310. Okay, it's getting up there and getting rejected every time, now 3 times over the past couple of months. So If Tesla can actually do that at some point, right, we can look to that volume profile and say, hey, where is the next area of substantial volume exchanged? Well, that's actually going to be up here around 330 up to about 350. That's going to be our next bigger area of volume. But look at this gap. There's a volume gap in here. Look at this. Right in here. From about that 310 up to about 330. There's a volume gap. So we might have a very nice move from 310 without much resistance up to about 330 or so. I back my way into this idea. Okay, I want to play a Tesla breakout if we can break above that 310 and build above it. Okay, so we might break above it briefly, but if we get rejected quickly, I don't like that trade, right? But if we break above and start to build, there could be a nice $10, $15, $20 move here in a very short period of time for Tesla. I back my way into it. I look, okay, well, here is an area of support back in here. Tesla was holding support around this level right here, which happens to be around 325, about $5 shy of 330. If I'm going to play a breakout here, my price target might be, or probably is going to be, about 325. Could it overshoot? Sure. But the higher probability target will be that 325. And then I know, based on my volume profile, my volume analysis, up to about 330, there could be a nice overshoot move before we start to see some resistance based on the volume. And then also based on my technicals, based on multiple candlesticks here on the daily chart, showing that that area was an area of support in the past. And you can apply this to many different time frames. What I have found works best is that using these volume gaps, using these areas of lower volume on the charts, stocks tend, not all the time. Again, there's nothing guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed at all. When you think about things in a much more random sense than, oh, this should happen, I think this will happen, you're much more willing to take the loss as a small loss rather than let something become a massive loser. So I'd encourage you to think in that regard. Think in terms of the probabilities, like Mark Douglas says. Think in terms of those probabilities coming from more of a trading psychology approach, right? And less in the, I think this is going to happen, and more of like, hey, anything can happen. And if I'm wrong, or the trade's wrong today, or this trade's wrong, it's wrong. Move on. There'll be another one. And there will be, many more where that came from. But these volume gaps, as you see right here on Tesla, tend to have a lot cleaner price action. So we can kind of see stocks cut through some of those a lot more like butter and experience less resistance up or down, or support, right? Depends upon your direction, up or down, when there is a nice volume gap, really across different time frames too. So don't get too caught up in like, oh my gosh, this is the daily chart time frames. The daily chart is what to look at first before you back your way into, okay, let's look at the hourly charts, look at the 5-minute charts. If I can build my way into a nice plan here, then I'll take the trade. And for those who are familiar or not familiar, this is actually going to be on, you can get this on the cheapest version of TradingView. So if you don't have TradingView, there'll be a link in the pinned comment and description box down below. If you want to check it out for like a 30-day free trial, I would highly recommend it. That's what I originally did. I was like, hey, this is actually awesome. I'm going to use this. So I have the premium version that's highlighted in blue right here. But the volume profile indicators come on the pro version. So don't need to like think, oh my God, I got to get the premium. I got to get the pro plus. No. Like guys, I always recommend, seriously, like, just start as cheap as possible. Like there's no need to pay, more if you don't have to. But the pro plan is what you'll need to actually get the volume profile indicators on your TradingView accounts. Obviously the pro plus and premium will have them as well, plus a lot of more stuff. But that said, thanks so much for watching, guys. Any links or resources will be down below. That link to TradingView, 30-day free trial. So check it out. If you don't like it after 30 days, then don't pay for it. You know what I mean? There's also a free plan. Won't have the volume profile indicators, but I found this is one of my favorites. And again, it's not going to cause a lot of, extra crap on your charts. You know what I mean? It's going to be pretty simple. It's on the right-hand side. You can adjust the exact side if you want it on the left, or whatever. You can adjust how far in, how far out if you really wanted to. But I think it keeps the charts pretty clean, and it's something that I always like to glance at, before I'm entering a trade, just so I know, hey, are we entering into a volume gap here? Is there some more room for this to make that push to my targets? If so, that trade looks a lot better to me. Hit the thumbs up button, consider subscribing, and even sharing this video with a friend if you guys got something out of it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.